We can't tell our people they can vote yes on abolishing slavery unless at the same time we can tell them that you're seeking a negotiated peace.
It's either the amendment or this Confederate peace. You cannot have both.
How many hundreds of thousands have died during your administration?
Congress must never declare equal those whom God created unequal.
Leave the Constitution alone.
We are stepped out upon the world stage now, with the fate of human dignity in our hands. Blood's been spilled to afford us this moment. Now.
Now this is pure, unadulterated Lincoln right here, without all those pesky vampires and explosions.
No vampires, no zombies,
nothing like that.
No fun.
No, oh, now stop
Boring.
it. No, this is of course Abraham's Lincoln story, and this is how he got put on the $5 bill. And it's
Abraham's Lincoln.
Abraham's Lincoln. That's how. Yeah. Hey, don't disrespect your daddy like that.
This is how long a night it's been. I was sitting here going, "Is he on the 5? Is it the 5 that Lincoln is on?" Yes, it is.
Yes,
Okay,
it is.
Continue.
You dolts. He's on the penny.
Yeah. I can see.
He knows because he uses it to buy his candy.
I was about to say I can see both y'all are broke all the time. But you know what, man? This is kind of misleading. I think calling it Lincoln. You see the poster, Lincoln in big letters. Daniel Day-Lewis as Lincoln, looking like Lincoln on the poster, got that big old beard and everything. And you go to see it and you're thinking this is going to be the life story of Abraham Lincoln.
I sure thought that.
Yeah, you thought when we thought we were going to get little Lincoln, you know, and the story of the Lincoln Logs and everything. And he's coming up and then we
Teenage
get
Lincoln.
working up to the assassination.
The Lincoln Cadillac.
Yeah, we thought we were going to get Twilight Lincoln when he's a teenager and everything. Back when he was killing glittering vampires. No, he was, but this is more about this should have been called the 13th Amendment.
Yeah.
It's the
Emancipation Proclamation.
Yeah, the law that outlaws
a movie called Lincoln. Ain't a whole lot of Lincoln in it.
It is not. No, this is based on a book called Team of Rivals. The genius, the political genius of Abraham Lincoln, something like that. Is that what it's called, Brian?
Yeah, no, and it's interesting because that's what I actually really liked about the movie is that we've been taught about this guy since first grade. We know his life story. We know about his assassination. And despite the fact that this is basically, at this point, has surpassed a political historical figure and has become more of a folk hero, they're still finding new stories to tell about this guy.
Brian, you really know nothing about the American education system because
I
these people out here don't know nothing about the history of Lincoln.
The only thing I know is
they're dependent on this movie to learn.
The only thing I know is that he gave a fantastic speech at San Dimas High School, telling people to be excellent to each other and party on, dude.
You can't do that. You can't talk about that and zombies and werewolves and vampires because 50 years from now, fucking kids will believe that. They'll crack open a Civil War textbook and they'll be like, "Oh yes, and the vampires of the North fought the werewolves of the South."
Excuse me, kids are believing it? I'm fucking believing
it. And Brian, that's what they're going to believe anyway. Because the teacher's going to, you know what's going to happen? Teacher's going to put on Lincoln and they'll be like, "Miss, this is boring. Put on that other one with them vampires." All right, if it keep y'all little asses quiet here, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's the real Lincoln right there.
We're going to put on this movie called The Underworld Railroad.
But listen, Brian.
That's one of your good ones.
Oh, thank you.
Write that down.
Write that down. Man. Yeah. Listen, I agree with you. in that outside of me not seeing a whole lot of Lincoln in this and thinking, all right, this is kind of misleading, calling it Lincoln. It's cool. The 13th Amendment, of course, is the amendment passed in December of 1865 that outlaws slavery and indentured servitude and all that kind of stuff. Good stuff.
And whatever else Wikipedia says.
Yeah, whatever. Thank you. You know where I went.
I love Courtney was doing a speed race over there before he forgets.
It was like I was studying for a test.
Well, I better get this shit out quick before I forget it.
Because before Wikipedia, all I knew about Lincoln was he had a big beard and a top hat.
Glad he got out that Emancipation Proclamation.
He was in the Hall of Presidents. I remember that shit.
Looked like he had a magic hat and shit striped across his chin. You know what I'm saying? No, but and that's why I enjoyed this, because we all know about the Emancipation Proclamation. It freed the slaves, but what was the process that went behind it? You know, what went on with the House of Representatives and all that kind of the turmoil that led up to it, and that's what this is about. It's about that piece of legislation right there. Now, they try to give you shades of Lincoln in the last 4 years of his life here, but and I think that's where the movie kind of feels uneven, because they want to dig deep into Lincoln for a little while, and then go back and say, oh, well, you know what? Let's talk about the Emancipation Proclamation now. You know, Lincoln, you just stay right over there, and we'll get with you in a little while.
And that's when the movie becomes a bunch of guys giving pieces of paper back and forth to each other, running around, and you're just like, all right. I know there's more things going on, like with the Battle of Yavin and something else going on.
The Battle of Gavin?
Excuse me, co-host. It was clearly fucking Hoth.
I was like, is this Abraham Lincoln, or am I watching a Star Wars prequel? Let's talk about trade negotiations.
I thought Lincoln saved the universe, but I forget. I'm sorry.
Textbooks, we're writing them right here. This is where we're at.
So, see, Brian, we were fucked up long before Vampire Hunter.
Thank you for showing me that. I appreciate it.
Before Lincoln Vampire Killer, we didn't know shit then. We don't know shit now.
Yeah, thank you, public school.
Yeah, so it's okay. No. I listen. Damn, how many times am I going to say that? Listen.
We're listening. Just tell us.
You have the floor, sir.
I know. Am I in session right now? I'll say, sir. A lot of foghorn leghorns in this kid's movie. I'll say that, sir.
He was there too during the signing. I saw him.
What I like was how they had the old school where they used to play the dozens on each other with Tommy Lee Jones like, sir, you are an ignoramus. And he sit down, everybody clap like, ooh, we told you.
Well, that's what was cool about this. Daniel Day-Lewis, it goes without saying. Daniel Day-Lewis, if they told Daniel Day-Lewis to play a sock, that sock is getting an Academy Award. Oh, yeah. I mean, when he's doing performance, he puts himself into it, and he is Abraham Lincoln in this movie. They were going to get Liam Neeson to do it before, but he kept beating up people, and they said that's not in the script. So
I have a very particular set of amendments. You're going to pass this piece of legislation right now.
He kept trashing it. He kept fucking driving his car into the set.
What are you doing if you have cars? I don't give a damn.
They're in the movie now.
I want my law back.
Lincoln's son, who would be played by Maggie Grace, is just throwing grenades outside the White House. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Always mind your Lincoln logs.
But the movie is full of actors. I mean, it's an ensemble piece, and everybody. It's hard to tell who is who, what figure they were
who's
at
playing
the time,
what,
who's playing who.
Yeah.
But I will say that it's that old actors rule where there are no small parts; they're just small actors and whatnot. And here, no matter how small somebody's part is, they really do put themselves into it. And it's great to see when they're in session and they are going at each other, because they I wish that's how it was today when we passed laws. Where everybody just stood up and just man, fuck you. You don't know shit.
Talking shit.
Sir.
Yeah, you wish.
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir.
You wish any kind of even city council meeting would be this interesting.
This is like Jerry Springer's Congress.
Yeah, it's like only Spielberg can bring you that. But
in Britain they actually do.
Yeah. What?
In Britain, they had those sessions where I watched where Tony Blair would be surrounded by guys yelling at him. He'd be yelling right back at him the whole time.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it's exciting.
Well, I will say that, besides Daniel Day-Lewis, you mentioned Tommy Lee Jones, who plays Thaddeus Stevens there, I would even say that he's more exciting to watch than your title character, because Lincoln's he's very quiet. He's very calculating as he watches things. He's very smart. He just sits back. At least when I knew him, that's how he was. Back when I used to hang out with him.
That joke is usually directed to me.
No, I don't know what to do with myself.
I just
all the rules are changing.
I know. I just started realizing, I'm talking about this motherfucker like I actually know him.
I have to admit, the dude from the '80s that's been appearing in movies in The Office lately,
James Spader.
James Spader. Yeah. I mean, I've actually had a really good time watching him act, but it is one of those movies. It's kind of an actor's movie where, I mean, that's the one thing you're really going to appreciate watching this movie. If you're not getting all into the politics and trying to keep up with who's who, who's giving papers to what character, at least you can enjoy the performances, which I got. That's at least the one thing I can say I really got out of this film. But other than that, I just wish in it, the fact that it's directed by Spielberg, there's plenty of battles going on. I wish they would have showed some of that, like really gave you a more well-rounded idea of what was really going on. I mean, you're introduced to Ulysses S. Grant, And I wish they focused more, with characters like him, just get the more well-rounded aspect of what's going on.
See, that's where I'm going to disagree, because I think we've seen those movies. We've seen movies about the Civil War. We've seen movies, or we've at least, seen PBS specials about Lincoln as a kid. We don't get a lot of stories of his parlor politics and all the tricks that he pulled to get things done. And to me, that's what made, and I think first of all, I agree, the supporting cast is mesmerizing in this. And Tommy Lee Jones absolutely steals the movie for me. But what I found really impressive about it, and where I really think it triumphs, is the fact that they do create a lot of drama and a lot of tension out of sessions of Congress. Like, you guys were kind of teasing it for being like the trade disputes in episode 1, but frankly, I looked at it more as like the kind of stuff that Sorkin does, where he's able to create drama in the smallest places. Like, I don't care about what goes on behind closed doors in baseball, but that didn't stop me from loving Moneyball, because the writing was so sharp and the tension was there, and I felt that exact same kind of thing going on in these sessions of Congress.
But I have to tell you something, Brian, like you just mentioned, we've seen all these battles, sure, we've seen all these battles on PBS, in other like TV movies, but have we ever seen them directed by Steven Spielberg? And that's the one thing I wanted.
That's an excellent point, because with Spielberg's name on it, you come to expect a certain level of spectacle that's going to be there, and it really wasn't. I took sort of the opposite view of having. To me, it was like, it's a buffet of character actors, and it was almost distracting to me, to where I was more like, oh, it's that guy from there. Oh, it's John Hawkes. It's Walton Goggins. And never catching on to who they really were. They were just like, it was, like I said, it was more about me just spotting these people. But also, Coase, I know you kind of touched on it. I mean, outside of spotting that, like Abraham Lincoln, like Daniel Day-Lewis does a great job. He becomes that character. But he's almost played as much as like Abe Simpson as he is Abe Lincoln, because it's all about him telling these stories that feel like they're just going nowhere. Even like one character's like, God damn it, I'm sick of these stories. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of am too. I want to see more of this. I really want to see more of his life. But now here's something that maybe none of you guys thought about or considered. Like Cole's bringing up, like there's battles going on they aren't showing. I was kind of annoyed by the fact that this is yet another movie that it's about slavery. It's about ending slavery, but they don't really show what slavery is. They don't show the hard toll of it. And it's a story of, hey, look how great these white guys were to save black people. I mean, it was just there. And I was like, really, there's no other addressing to this than that? It's funny, Craig, because you're usually the first one to jump on that. Because
I understand the context of this film. I mean, like I said, this is based on the book Team of Rivals, The Political Genius of Abraham Lincoln, and that's where I think the movie might turn some people off. It's a very political movie. A lot of arguing between the House and the Senate.
How can I hold that all men are created equal when here before me stands stinking the moral carcass of the gentleman from Ohio, proof that some men are inferior, endowed by their maker with dim wits, impermeable to reason, with cold, pallid slime in their veins instead of hot red blood. You are more reptile than man, George, so low and flat that the foot of man is incapable of crushing you. How dare you!
And some people they're not going to want that. They're going to be somebody that wants to see the Civil War, or they're going to want to see it be about slavery. But as we started out with this review, this is about the 13th Amendment and what they're doing to get it passed. If they were to make it anything else, then it would be a completely different movie. It would be from a different book. It's not about the Civil War or the plight of the slaves. And by the way, that's what it was. It was a bunch of white men at the time that were doing that.
I don't want it to be about those things, but I wanted them to have a presence in there, even a small one, some acknowledgement to show me like what's at stake. From what I could see, it was more a political debate about, well, it's this side versus this side, like a football game, rather than really showing like, no, this is what we're fighting for here.
And I think there's a scene in there that does exactly what you're saying that the movie doesn't do. The scene where
there's a couple of scenes
all the
like
freed
that.
slaves are brought in for the first time to the House of Congress to watch them debate because it's such an important moment for them, and you just get that sense from everyone in that room. All of these, you're absolutely right. All of these privileged white guys who at the time were the only people allowed to be politicos. All of them, even the ones who are against the repeal of the abolition of slavery, have to think about it. They're faced with it, and there's this moment where you really see even the people that are trying to keep slavery as it is have to think about it because they're being faced with it. So I think there are those little acknowledgments. I really do think that they're there.
But I'm agreeing with you, Leon, because the thing is, sure, if the book's not about that, the context of the movie is, because they discuss this. They discuss about the siege of Petersburg, and they're discussing it so much. It is that Star Wars Episode 1 where you hear so much about it. It's like, okay, here's a movie all about the Clone Wars, but you'll never see the Clone Wars.
Right.
And, and with this, there's so much discussion about it, how it's so pivotal to, get this proclamation even, started, to get these people to listen, that when, you don't get to see it, you feel like you're missing something. Just out of the context of how you watch a movie, when you hear people discussing a battle, you do want to see it, especially when it's going on and it's that important to the story.
Yeah,
despite what the book says, sure, it may be a nice,
you can still rent
nice
Gettysburg, right? Like they didn't take it off the shelf.
I don't want to rent Gettysburg. I want to watch
this movie.
What, tack the Battle of Gettysburg into the...
No, but you're saying I can still rent Gettysburg, so do I have to do a double review where I review that as well
but he
as this?
specifically made the point earlier that there are no movies, that they're all TV movies about the Civil War. Like, there are theatrically released movies about the Civil War.
No, there are. I mean, there's great movies, but I'm saying I wanted to see one directed by Spielberg, that's all.
Yeah, I see. Again, it's going to come down to expectations, I think. I saw this. Like I said, I expected something else. I saw a movie that I thought is one of Spielberg's better films. And I said it before. I agree with you. I feel like there are certain parts of Lincoln's life, key moments that they actually feel obligated to show. They're crowbarring it into the movie to say, all right, so we covered that part of Lincoln that you're wondering about, and some people probably already know what I'm alluding to here. And like I said, it feels uneven when they do that. But I'm not disappointed in going to see this movie because I'm not going to try to tell it to, and it's going to sound like I'm saying fuck you to you guys. I'm not. I'm just, and if it does sound
Thanks
that way,
for telling us.
then fuck you.
Thanks for apologizing before you fuck us.
That's my way of saying fuck you without actually saying without actually saying it. No, I'm not asking this to be a different movie than what it was trying to do. Like I think Brian's right. If you want to see a movie about the Civil War, there are other things out there that's their purpose to do that. I mean, there are movies about slavery that are out there that it's their purpose to do that. This is about one specific piece of legislation, and that's what the movie's about. I'm accepting it on its terms. Hey, look, can we at least agree that it's no war horse?
Nothing's war horse.
I'm actually not even fully in agreement on that because my big hope was that it wouldn't remind me of War Horse, and there was a certain amount of sentimentality in it that made me go like, God damn it, this is it. It's got that War Horse stain on it again. It's not quite as bad, but it's there where it doesn't need to be.
I actually agree with you, and there were moments where I thought it was too sentimental, but then I realized the things that it's sentimental about, I kind of hope we never stop being sentimental about. Like, yeah, I mean, it's a little schmaltzy toward the end, but it's schmaltzy about the idea of oppression, like of us being able to, as a people, go, no, oppression's actually a terrible thing, and that little like potential of people to be better. Like, that's the kind of thing that I'm okay being sentimental about because I kind of fear the day when we lose our sentimentality about that kind of stuff. I don't know.
See, I thought it was great every time Lincoln walked by a black person, they looked at him like they were looking up in the sky and they started to cry. As soon as they saw him, they're like, oh, this guy.
Now, I will say something about what you're talking about, Leon, where you're saying I wish they would have kind of addressed or focused on the slaves a little bit more. I wish that they had actually. There's a theory right now. I don't know if it's a theory or if it's actual documented in history, but
something you made up.
Something I'm just trying to make up just to sound smart right now. But
according to Wikipedia,
according to Lincoln Vampire Hunter, it is said that he did not. No, you probably have heard this. He did not feel comfortable around black people.
No,
I mean there was the politics. There were other politics other than slavery involved with the Emancipation Proclamation. They don't get into that here. They make it seem like these people are being so noble in their cause, and that's exactly not what it is. Now I don't know if that's what you're trying to say, but that's exactly not how it is. They do, however, try to without making Lincoln look like a total asshole. They do have moments where he does say, "I'm really not used to black people, but I guess I'll get with it later on or something. Hey, y'all women looking kind of fine, right? No, he didn't know. They didn't say that. No, but it's
That's the Jefferson movie.
excuse me.
That's funny. I had that thought when I was watching it too.
Steven Soderbergh's Jefferson.
No, but I do think that there, again, as we do with a lot of biographies, biopics, a lot of historical films, we have a tendency to go in and gloss over it with this nice, beautiful sheen that makes it seem easier for people to take in, where it really wasn't like that.
Right, and that's what I felt like this was doing, and it bothered me because it was a real opportunity to not do that. Like, that's the kind of thing he's been known for most of his career, but then he had that period where he wasn't doing that, during that Catch Me If You Can Munich period where he wasn't trying to gloss over everything. He was like showing things as being gritty as they could be.
Finally being honest with the material.
Yeah, and I was hoping he would be back to that, and like I was hoping, okay, he got Warhorse out of his system, now he can go back to doing what he can really do, and this was not quite the step that I was hoping for.
And Brian, I don't think that Leon, if I can just speak for him here, my client, I don't think that he's actually trying to say that
So you're the Lincoln lawyer now?
Yes, I am. Excuse me, real quick. I'll come back in with a beard and
start talking like,
what's this I hear you whipping slaves?
Now, Brian, sir, I heard you was hitting on my man Leon. I don't like that.
I was waiting for you to sound like Matthew McConaughey.
No, I don't think that he's actually dismissing the sentimentality of some of the issues in the movie.
No,
I think he's talking about Spielberg's directing technique. You see, Brian, you said something one time that I admit to talk about. In our Argo review, you said that you wish that Ben Affleck would actually get a sense of style, visual style, where you can tell that it's him in every movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't put this in the review, but I thought I actually like what Ben Affleck is doing because I don't want him to become Spielberg. What Spielberg, what I think Leon's trying to say is that he puts these moments in there where the scenes are melodramatic in a way. The sentimentality is poured on kind of thick, and he does this with a lot of his films. I mean,
it's the E.T. scene at the very end.
Things like that. I mean, Warhorse was the worst. I mean,
was.
The guy overacting about that horse. I mean, really, he thought it was like sentimental. We thought that guy wants to fuck that horse.
It's Equus.
Yeah, exactly. And so with this one, I see Spielberg kind of repeating that, and this is one where he doesn't do it as much. That's why I'm saying it's not Warhorse, because this does kind of take me back to Munich in a way where he's got material that's not exactly a genre film. He's kind of forced to work within history, so it makes him pull back a little bit and not depend on the tricks that he repeats over and over again. That's what I hated about Warhorse. I said, this is Spielberg on autopilot. This is something that I think he actually had his heart into. That's just me.
I would agree with that. I don't think
you all right, Corey.
I know. I got all serious.
I feel like I should have music in the background.
You turn into that cat clock with the shifty eyes, like looking at us, like waiting for us to attack.
No, I like Leon's version of where there's a flag coming up behind me, waving in slow motion.
And I think that Spielberg had his heart in "There's truth is marching on."
Eagle comes by.
You just look scared as shit. That's all I'm saying.
Did you see when I paused? Everybody got quiet. I had a tear coming out my eye.
no fool ever reviewed a movie by dying for his country.
I don't know what the fuck these assholes are seeing. All I'm seeing is you being scared as shit. That's all. Those are my guns. I'm sticking to them.
Okay. Well, let me just sum it up here. I think it's a very good movie. I do. And I think it's a full price movie. Now, there's not a whole lot of things in here that I think that push it towards a best picture movie when it comes around to it, because that's what they're going to try to do with this. And it is going to get nominated for best picture, I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis deserves every amount of praise he gets in a nomination, which I know he will get. And somebody else who I can guarantee you who's going to get a nomination is Sally Fields as Mary Todd Lincoln. And I thought she was great in the movie, and she deserves a lot of praise for this.
That's going to get canceled out for her Aunt May performance.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot about that. Amazing Spider-Man.
We all forgot about that.
But let me say, yes, Aunt May. Hey, you know what? She'll get nominated twice for Aunt May. No, I like I said, I think it's a very good movie. I think it's one of Spielberg's better movies. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's an absolute great film, but very, very good. Full price.
Daniel Day-Lewis is great. Like, you know he's going to be. It'd have been something to talk about if he was just kind of like, But yeah, he becomes Lincoln. I mean, man, that dude, he went so far as to have 5 inches of bone added to his leg so he could be tall enough to tower over people.
He's method, man.
He's just that dedicated.
You could have used platform shoes.
Nope. That's not the way we do it.
Don't do it right. You can strap some Lincoln Logs to his leg.
And
Now, that's the 5th goddamn time you said Lincoln Logs in this fucking review.
I love it.
He's been crowbarring that shit.
I know.
love that.
You said Lincoln Logs enough. You can build a cabin at this
Kill.
place.
I got money invested in it. I got stock in Lincoln Logs, by the way.
Now stop it.
He says it one more time. He gets a car. A Lincoln.
I love it. Yeah, welcome to the club.
What poison did you bring in here, man?
And there's definitely like just such a great attention to detail in the sets. They really bring that whole period to life. I mean, every place you look around, it's like, wow, it's like feels like you're really there. Outside of that, I didn't hate the movie, but it felt to me like something they would show in a school. There's a lot of bad language in it, like a lot of like unnecessary shits and fucks that could be easily taken out.
Are there?
Yeah.
Did somebody say fuck a whole lot in this movie?
Lincoln did.
I know it's enough to make me go like, it was something to go like, God, why is that in it? Because they could easily. This is something that they could show at schools. For kids to watch. And
well, it is PG-13, so I don't think they said fuck a whole lot.
Then they said shit a bunch where it didn't even need to be there.
I think there are actually like ways around that with the MPAA if you're making like a historical movie where it's like, no, this is an educational film,
right.
And I'm serious.
Yeah, no,
where it's like this is how they would have spoken. Like I think they're a little bit more lenient.
This is history.
So it's like if I want to make a sex education film and make it very graphic, I'd have to make it like a guy dressed up like Lincoln having sex with his wife.
And you have to have some education in there too.
Is that what you're doing in that room with the door closed?
Hey, you don't want to touch that beard. Trust me.
But showing more, giving more context of what's going on, like actually not talking about it. It's fine they talk about it, but I really wanted to see it to get a feel for it. And there's the Spielbergisms and the over sentimentality that kept me feeling like I feel like I'm watching like a really well produced TV movie, and I wish that was not the case. To the point that like for a while I forgot it was Spielberg because it just seemed like kind of like, okay, whoever's doing this, they're probably reaching to the best of their ability, but they're no great director. It's like, oh wait, it's Spielberg. He should be knocking this out of the park. I should be loving this movie, and I'm just kind of liking it. It's just kind of a low matinee for me.
And I got to give you the credit there. As an adult, I'm saying this is a very good movie. If I was 14, they put this on in school, I'd be like, I don't want to watch this shit. Damn. All right. At least I ain't got to write anything down. I hear the teacher talk. No, I can go to sleep.
Download that shit on my iPod.
I know. You'd be like, so when do the vampires come in? That's the other movie. Shit.
No, you guys
Corey
are right.
to the back of the class.
You guys are right. This is the best reading rainbow I've ever seen. No, I really, really dug this movie, and despite you're not wrong about the Spielbergisms, and it is overly sentimental, but I think Daniel Day-Lewis, once again, as we expect, turns in a career-defining performance, and kind of what Leon was alluding to, it's not just the passionate delivery of his lines, but he adopts like the gait and the posture of the man, and it's really fascinating to watch. And then you have basically half of the Screen Actors Guild in the rest of the movie, and all of them are turning in really spectacular performances. I think Tommy Lee Jones takes it. Like I as much as I love Daniel Day-Lewis and watching him in this movie, it's Tommy Lee Jones that is the heart and soul of it for me. And I do think that it's interesting, certainly don't want this to devolve into a political discussion, but I do think it's interesting that no matter which side of the political fence you land on, you're going to see parallels in this movie to what's going on politically right now, and I think that at least keeps the movie relevant. And I agree
with that.
Me too.
I think it's grand enough in scale and in tone that it definitely feels cinematic. I didn't have that kind of TV movie reaction to it. I'd give it maybe a low. I will say I didn't like where it ended. There was a certain spot where if it had ended there, it would have had the most impact, and I felt like they kept it going to get that inevitable conclusion. It's like, we know how this guy's story ends. Mm-hmm. We don't necessarily need it to end.
That's
there.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that threw it a little bit for me. But even still, I would give it a low full price.
Yeah, I mean, how many more different ways can you kiss Daniel Day-Lewis's ass for his great acting? I'm like, sure, it's not even like important anymore. It's like, now, if Kristen Stewart were to put on a beard and a big top hat,
I would watch that.
And actually give a performance like this, then that is something to talk about, my friends. But sure, the acting is incredible. The act across the board, every actor, they put their heart and soul in this. They made it believable. The set designs were incredible. The feeling that you were there in the time, Spielberg completely captured that. But like you said, Leon, there's times in this movie where I forgot it was a Spielberg movie because like so much is going on, so much is being said about battles and stuff. Sure, it may not be in this book and it may be completely accurate to the book, but you know what? It's still a film. I still want to be entertained. I can appreciate acting all day long, but when you're telling me about these important battles and you're kind of just showing me the aftermath and that's about it, I feel like I'm a bit cheated because it's a film. It's a visual. I want to see that. I want to see these people dying for what they believe in. I want to see, I want to see the slaves. I want them to show me how much it sucks to be a goddamn slave in that time, instead of them just being led into a room going, hey, it's about time you guys get a seat.
Oh, don't worry. We still got Django coming out. So
yeah. And, but overall, I mean, it was just a matinee to me. Like I said, it is one of those movies that's going to get all the attention, that the Oscars, that need to give it. Yeah. But for me, will I really watch this movie again? Not really. I mean, if it was on TV, I'd probably look at all the acting, go, that's great, and then just pop in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
or The Conspirator. Like when it was done, I was like, okay, I'd actually like to watch Conspirator now. It's sort of the sequel. You know what? Something I was going to bring up earlier. Like when we saw that movie, The Words, earlier this year, and it was a complaint you made how it took place during the war, yet they managed to not actually show you any of the war because they didn't have the budget for it. And it's like, you know what? That's a good criticism because it does feel like you're being told about something but not seeing it, and it would have that impact.
But they were putting you more in the war in that movie than this movie tries to do here.
No, not really.
This movie is about, like I said, there's certain parts that mention the war. They show you a battle, but it's not the focus of the film.
But you do get introduced to Grant and what's going on with them. You see plenty of the aftermath involving Grant. That's why
just because Grant is on the screen doesn't mean it has to be about a war.
I know, and I understand that. I'm just saying, for me personally, it'd be far more entertaining if I got that.
All right, I don't even want to argue with that. How about this? How about Lincoln comes into a room and rips his shirt open and says, "I am the Emancipation Proclamation," and rips off his sleeves with muscles and just start ripping cages open, slaves running everywhere.
That I will watch, my friend. Call me when that happens.
Because Fred the Hammer Williamson would be playing Lincoln in that movie, and that would be fucking awesome.
And we'll call it Hard Drinking Lincoln.
No, they won't.
This settles the fate for all coming time. Not only of the millions now in bondage, but of unborn millions to come. Shall we stop this bleeding?